The complete extent of reality is extremely complex, and if you tried to pay attention to all of it, it would be overwhelming, unbelievably complicated. Out of that complex reality, we need to figure out how to extract or identify some set of relevant relationships relevant to the situation that we are trying to figure out how to deal with. And to be able to do that, we go ahead and use the definition of the situation to provide a focus for us so that we can use that to sort out which of all of the possible relationships are really seem to be relevant to the situation. Though when I say we use the situation to help us sort it out, be aware that this is some more of that trial and learning stuff, so that you may come across relationships that you aren't quite sure whether they're relevant or not. My recommendation is that if you think it's possibly relevant, include it. It's easier to figure out later that it's not relevant and take it out than it is later to say, what are the things that I thought might have been relevant that I neglected to put in at the point in time that I identified them. And if you take them out later, keep a list of them and identify why it was that you determined that they weren't relevant. Because when you share the set of relevant relationships with someone else in the future, they're likely to raise questions about, well, why didn't you consider this and why didn't you consider that? If you have this list of things that you did consider, you can surface that and say, okay, we considered this and we thought that it wasn't relevant for this particular reason, but based upon someone else's perspective, you may reevaluate that and decide that it needs to go back into the relationship. So we typically call this a model. It's from my perspective, a model is a simplification of reality intended to promote understanding. And that's the real intent of this set of relevant relationships is we're looking for an understanding of some cross-section of the complex reality related to this situation that promotes a level of understanding from which we can derive a strategy that later helps us understand how to deal with the situation at hand. Now, there's a favorite comment that runs around that says, all models are wrong, some models are useful. As I said, my definition of a model is it's a simplification of reality intended to promote understanding. And because it's a simplification, it isn't reality. It's the old thing about the map is not the territory. The picture of the knife is not a knife. To some extent, it's the model that you develop is not exact, it's not complete. The question is it useful? Does it promote the understanding that you need to figure out how to develop a strategy to deal with the situation? If it does, it's sufficient. We're more interested in sufficient models than exact models. If you wanted an exact model, then you just go deal with reality. The difficulty is that it's so complex and perceived complicated that it's difficult to figure out how to deal with it. And usually you can't go tinker with reality on an ongoing basis to learn things, so you extract a model, something that you can tinker with and work with to get a sense of the implications of that set of relationships without messing with the real relationships on an ongoing basis. And the other thing that I would offer you is that typically we think that 1 and 1 equals 2. We think that because we understand 1, and because we understand 1, we think we understand 2. First, we need to understand and you will find in subsequent sections that and is a key concept in developing an understanding of this set of relationships that's the key to developing a strategy to deal with this situation. So please keep this in mind, that and is an essential concept as we move forward. Hope you found this interesting, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.